for this. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Phil Stokes. I'm the executive director here. If you're joining us, you're a fan of Penn Dixie, and so I'm very grateful for that. Obviously in our bylaws, we're required to do this, but really it's also a great experience. It's a great opportunity to connect with folks who may or may not be able to, reach out to us every day. We've got a lot of members and supporters around the country. And so, we're always happy to, share with you what we're doing and then get your feedback. And really, this organization exists because of volunteers, because of people who are invested in science education in the Western New York community and in children. What we're going to share with you tonight, should touch on a bunch of different topics. My first presenter is me, and so I will share with you a couple slides here, and really, I'm not trying to put you to sleep right away, but we're going to just jump right into the nuts and bolts of what's been going on at Penn Dixie. So, like I said, this is our annual membership meeting, and we're nearing the end of the year. So, thank you for joining us. I'm sure there's a lot going on out there, and thank you for taking some time. So let's start right out of the gate with a chart, and this is something that I put together with the help of the finance director for Erie County in our local government. He was so kind as to furnish some historical information regarding county funding, and I've combined it with information from our annual tax filings. So see on the x-axis along the bottom, we have the year. Going back to 1993, when the Hamburg Natural History Society was founded, all the way to 2023, which is next year. We don't have our budget for the year yet, but we do have one or two things that we can talk about. And then on the y-axis, you'll notice there's dollar amounts from $0 to $1 million. If I had $1 million, in assets, maybe we're getting there. But really, the story of our organization is one that was founded by, everyday folks who are just vested in the community. And so our first few years of the organization, we had not much revenue. It was, donations, it was sales of T-shirts and books, and it was a couple $1,000s at most that was changing hands. And now it's quite a bit has changed. So if you follow that green line, you'll notice that's the revenue line. It's increased quite a bit since those early years. There's a couple big spikes in there, and those have corresponded to very large gifts, which in the case of 2008, that was cash that was used for purchase of land. And then in 2021, we had a non-cash donation. It was very large. That was actually in fill or dirt, you could call it, and it was material that was used for construction. Now on the expense side, you'll notice that it largely follows the revenue, right, which is a good thing. You don't want to have your expenses exceed your revenue, really. Otherwise, you're in trouble. And I'm really glad to say that we've stayed out of trouble for quite a few years now. And that's thanks to our staff and our board and our volunteers who work hard to make sure that our program revenue is consistent and growing. This figure total revenue includes totals from donations, grants, programming. So it could be school field trips, it could be general admissions, private expeditions, really all that stuff. Also includes fundraising dollars. And we're really fortunate because it's gone up year after year. In the next slide, I'll show you some information on federal pandemic aid, which was really helpful for us. We definitely had some hardships caused by, the shutdowns and the health challenges, but I think overall in the long term it worked out. And then that line for total assets is in the blue. You'll notice it's gone up quite a bit. Total assets represents both physical stuff and cash. And so in our case, there's a huge jump in total assets from 2007 to 2008. As we acquired a really nice piece of commercial land that is now being used for construction of our new parking lot, and eventually will hold a visitor center. And then we've added some more total assets in the last year or two, as we've added to that land with the donation of the fill, as well as ongoing construction. That value has increased, and it will continue to increase. Now, this this current year, 2022, these are not final numbers by any means. We still have another month or so of financials to report. Plus, our information is reviewed by a professional accountant every year. And when she gets done with that, the numbers are usually corrected a little bit. I'll tell you, I tend to be very conservative when I'm projecting anything that's uncertain, that hasn't been corrected by a professional. And so most likely the revenue figure will go up a bit, as will the total assets. Right now I put it at $1 million. We did have a very large in-kind donation of labor from Local 17, the Operating Engineers International Union. They did most of the work this summer pro bono. And it was an excellent arrangement in which we essentially paid for the fuel cost, as well as provided meals and snacks and coffee to the workers. And they had a training experience that they gained from this. And when we got a new parking lot, that work is not yet completed, but we will most likely capitalize their donation once we've recorded all the dollars and cents that shows, that value of their donated labor. And so I would project that our total assets would hit $1 million this year for the first time in organizational history. And then last but not least, that yellow line at the bottom represents county funding. You'll notice it's fairly flat. I gotta say, it's not easy to get government grants. Generally, there's a lot of competition. And not only that, not only are we competing with other organizations, we're also required to be as transparent as we can. And so they ask for a very detailed grant application in which we provide them with pretty much everything we do. They want facts and figures. They want to see documents. And it's because the taxpayers need accountability, right? Your tax dollars at work shouldn't be going to something that's not deserving. And so we work pretty hard every year to do the application, to meet with our elected officials and explain what we do and how we do it and why we do it. And this past year, we got an increase. And I know it's just a tiny little blip there from 2022 to 23. In past years, we were getting anywhere from $92,000 to $96,000 from Erie County. In 2023, we are budgeted to receive $100,000. So we got a raise, and we're very grateful. As you know, inflation is huge right now, and it affects certain things more than others. And so I'm very hopeful that we can continue to keep our staff wages rising to keep up with inflation. So our folks who are working so hard to get us, where we need to go, are well compensated. So now that you're asleep, guess what? You got a spreadsheet. So this is I thought I would share it because honestly, I'm really proud of it. I know everyone kind of rags on the federal government, and probably rightly so. But the one thing that has helped us quite a bit has been some money that's been made available to businesses who experience hardships due to the pandemic. And so we received, just going down the list here, we received 2 Paycheck Protection Program loans. Those totaled $94,000. Then we also took advantage of the Employee Retention Tax Credit. And this is basically, in my view, a reward for maintaining your payroll, even though business might have been down a little bit. And as you can see there, we had quite a large tax refund. Corresponds obviously to payroll taxes that are paid along with employee salaries. And so, we did have a lot of employee salaries in the last couple of years, and here we are now getting a refund for those amounts. And so that's helpful. We also received a Small Business Administration Shuttered Venue Operator Grant and a supplement. And so this was money that was put out there for basically any kind of cultural venue that couldn't open for any period of time. And so a lot of it went to theaters and places where, you might see music or a show. But there was also a category for museum operators And so we were very fortunate that we received about $20,000 in the initial disbursement, and then a supplement, which was substantially larger. And so really all that stuff added up to almost $270,000 from Uncle Sam. And so I'm super grateful for our staff who've stuck around the last couple of years. Not only have we retained, I'd say most, if not virtually all of our people, but we've also added some staff as well. And the federal funds helped us because we didn't really worry that, if there was a drop in tourism or a drop in school field trips, we would still be able to pay our people. And this really puts us in a great position for next year and the future years, because we didn't need to cut any positions. We didn't need to really cut anywhere. We're able to approach those future years full steam ahead with our full complement of employees. We've got great institutional memory, and I got to say, everyone that's part of the organization is committed to keep improving the organization. We're constantly evaluating and assessing, and really focusing on how we can continue to make this organization grow. Now, in those regards, I just wanted to share with you here this construction blueprint. And this was a document that we produced in July. So we did a little bit of work after that, so it's probably going to change a bit. But this is essentially the layout of the future parking lot on Jeffrey Boulevard. If you've been over there, you'll notice there's still some work to be done. Unfortunately, Local 17 ran out of workers this summer. And so we had to put things on hold. After the winter hiatus, of course, we'll restart in the spring, and we'll get this puppy finished. But in the meantime, if you're interested in checking it out, once the snow's melted, just send an email and I'd be happy to take you out there for a site tour. I could show you what's already done. I could show you what's yet to be done and where it's going to go. And it's, I got to say, really a eye-opening experience to kind of visualize now where things are going to go, and how much of an upgrade this will represent over our current entrance. And then last but not least, for the future plans, is this rendering of what will be our new Welcome Center Pavilion. This is currently in the late design stage, so basically the architect and engineers are finalizing the details before we have construction documents ready. We anticipate this will start sometime in mid-2023. And initially, when this is constructed, this pavilion will welcome visitors. It will also be used for some programming. And then once we have an actual visitor center on site, then this pavilion will revert to programming only use. And so if you're familiar with what we do, you'll know that we get a lot of school groups. We also host birthday parties. They'll definitely take advantage of this on an almost daily basis. And then we also just need places with shade so that our visitors can relax and cool off without getting too baked in the sun. So I'm sure this will change a little bit more before we actually put shovels in the ground, but this is kind of what it'll look like. All right, on that note, I wanted to see if there were any questions about my segment of the presentation before I turn things over to Dr. Holly. All right. Oh, Stan. Okay.
What's behind the rise in expenses the last couple of years?
Oh, that's a great question. So we've added staff. We have essentially doubled the number of full-time employees in the last 2 years. And we've also strived to increase our minimum wage, which is now $15 an hour. At the start of this year, I thought that was great. Now I think, we probably need to, continue looking at how we can improve our employee compensation. But I'd say payroll is behind about 75% of that increase in expense.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Holly, you are up.
Is it, we have to share, or we have to reshare it, right?
Yeah, you'll have to reshare.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody. Let's see here. 1 second. Whoa. All right. Catherine, is it full screen again? Yep. Okay. I see everybody not here. Okay.
Yeah, looks good.
So good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Holly Schreiber. I am the Associate Director at Penn Dixie. I have a little bit less to share than Dr. Phil. We're just going to go over some info about the site. And this is a graph I've been working on over the last few years of attendance, site attendance. And you'll see on the x-axis, it's the years dating back to 1997. And then on the y-axis, it is visitors. Note that pre about 2016, some of the numbers were estimates, but we feel that they are, good estimates. Starting in 2016, you'll notice that the number of site visitors increased dramatically. And note that these are general admission visitors, these are programs, these are school field trips, Boy Scouts, it's anybody that comes to the site. If you've been to these meetings before, you know that 2017 is an outlier, and that is the year we held the viewing for the solar eclipse that happened in August of that year. And that is the reason for that dramatically higher number of visitors. That program alone had 2,200 people at it. So you can see 2018 was also high. That was the year we did our Guinness World Record dig. And 2019, of course, did well as well. And then the pandemic happened in 2020. Though we saw a record number of general admission visitors that year, we lost all school field trips, all group visits, and that was the reason for the dramatic decrease. I'm happy to report this year we are essentially back to normal. And I'll get to my points in a minute, but you can see we had about 13,000 visitors this year on site. And one thing that really did up our numbers is that school field trips returned. And they returned in about the same numbers as the pre-pandemic years. I should say numbers of schools as pre-pandemic years, but the total number of students were smaller. So we had heard from schools that, we used to bring the entire district, the entire second grade of a single district. That couldn't happen this year. Busing was busing was a problem for a lot of schools. So instead of say an entire second grade coming, they only sent one school. So we saw that throughout this year. So we did see field trips, but in a much smaller number. And another really good thing that happened this year on site was that our programming returned to kind of a pre-pandemic normalcy. So attendance for Dig with the Experts this year exceeded about 300 visitors for the weekend. Stargazing in Hamburg was also very popular. General admission visitors were, about over 10,000 this year as well. We are also happy that this year programs that have not run since 2019 also returned. One example of that was our Rocket Day. And that is a day where people can come build rockets, model rockets, and shoot them off at Penn Dixie. So we're really happy that these programs that haven't run for a number of years were back and very popular. Lastly, we also added a suite of new evening programs, and it really added depth to Penn Dixie's programming. One very popular one this year was our Owl Prowl, where visitors got to learn about owls native to our region, actually walk in the woods and call for owls, and we're actually successful in calling in, at least in the first Owl Prowl, calling in an owl for our visitors to see. All right, I know that was a lot of information, but a couple of things we're looking forward to in 2023. First, like this last year, we will not be holding any truly large special events. So we're not going to try to do another Guinness dig or, a solar, there's no solar eclipse this year. We are moving to a number of moderately sized programs. So we expect a few hundred people at Dig with the Experts, a few hundred at something like Earth Science Day, but none of those truly large programs. And this really works well for us. We're able to offer our visitors a wide range of programs, and also, not put all of our eggs in one basket type of thing. Dig with the Experts 2023 is already scheduled. So if that is something you are interested in, it'll be June 3rd and 4th. We will have ticketing information and tickets available to purchase probably by mid-February. So keep an eye on our website and we'll have more information there. And then one other thing we are really interested in, or excited for, I should say, are field trips. We expect this year to be back to pre-pandemic levels of students, and actually even exceed that, because I am really happy to announce that we are partnering with Buffalo Public Schools and their field trip initiative this year. And we will be welcoming over 2,100 BPS second graders to the site this year. So they'll be able to learn about the history of Western New York, collect fossils, and really just have a fun time outdoors. And this is something that our organization has really been working towards for the past several years, maybe even, probably from the beginning of the organization, a relationship with Buffalo Public Schools to get students out to the site and out into nature that may not have that opportunity otherwise. So we're really looking forward to that in spring, and those field trips will be starting in April. So thank you for listening to my notes on site business. Are there any questions? I don't think so. All right, I think Catherine is up next.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Catherine. I'm the Director of Science at Penn Dixie, and I'm happy to share my highlights with you. My highlights are on-site, off-site, and everywhere in between. The first cool thing that happened was our first fully colored signs got installed. If you'll remember, last year around this time, we were wrapping up a Kickstarter, or it had wrapped already, and we had those funds ready to go for the spring. So once the ground thawed, we got them in. They're in the northwestern section of our park. This is the artist, a local artist, Rachel Delfonso, standing next to the colored work. This is something really exciting. It's going to make self-guided visits more interesting, and hopefully open the door to many more colored interpretive signage to increase accessibility on the site. Outreach was very good this year. For those of you who don't know, outreach is any program that we take into the community. It could be about fossils, it could be about geology in general, or astronomy. The picture here is of an astronomy night that we do with the members of Buffalo Astronomical Association at Lakeshore Library, which is a very fun opportunity to partner with more than one organization at once. So we saw about 9,000 people of Western New York and the greater Niagara region. Some stats were around 275 hours of programming were delivered across 90 calendar days. Most of those days saw more than one program in the day, and 28 of those programs were free, so they were a gift back to the community. We're always happy to do that. We had continued partnerships flourishing with community partners like Graycliff, the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities. This is a picture from a new partnership we're excited. It's with WNED and PBS. we will be part of their web series called Compact Science. So look out for that in the new year. We also made nice partnerships with Plant Western New York, which we will continue into 2023 at Plantasia, if there's any local people who go to that, as well as a new relationship with the Hamburg Kiwanis Club. I'm going to scroll to what I'm excited about. So looking ahead, the biggest initiative I'm excited about is the pun intended moonshot of getting every school-age child in Hamburg a pair of solar glasses in preparation for the next total solar eclipse in April of 2024. So if you don't know, Buffalo and Erie County will be in the path of totality, and Penn Dixie is making it its mission to give every child in Hamburg, Frontier, in St. Francis, St. Peter and Paul with a pair of solar eclipse glasses, and more importantly, the knowledge on how to use them the right way to experience this really incredible opportunity. We just received word that we will be getting $10,000 in Ralph C. Wilson funding. This is gonna go to general site happenings, including making sure the customer experience is one they won't forget, with all tools provided, as well as keeping admission rates low. And we're also working on another fundraising opportunity similar to the Kickstarter, but maybe on a different platform. And the ultimate goal of that will be to, just like those colored signs, get some more much needed trail signs on our trails. We have about 1.5 miles of nature trail, and we would just like to highlight those certain areas of the parks and the fossils they can find there, as well as potential flora and fauna in the park. So lots of good stuff, a little bit of everything. I'm happy to answer any questions. All right.
If there's no questions for Catherine, I guess, Sydney, you're up. Talk about marketing.
Whoa. All right. Hi, everybody. Let me just get back to screen sharing here. Okay. Phil, I might need your technical assistance. After 2 years of Zoom, I am still needing help with this. Where's that?
All right, so we're going to share screen.
Oh, the big green button that says
Yeah.
share screen.
That's all right.
Perfect.
And then, yeah, you can just go through and that shows you what is
Great.
being shared. We can do full screen.
Even better.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thank you, Phil. All right, my name is Sydney Mecca. I'm the Marketing and Development Coordinator here at Penn Dixie. I've been here for about 2 years, full-time for almost a year. So I'm going to try and keep this succinct. So I'm happy to report that our website in 2022 has seen its most popular year. So this year, there's been a 7% increase in website visitors from 2021 to 2022. Last year, there was 51,957 website visitors, and this year there was 55,639 website visitors, which means that there's a total of 3,682 more visitors to penndixie.org this year. And the difference for our website, which is run through WordPress, is that visitors are individual, like unique IP addresses. So that's one person as opposed to views, which one person can view our website 100 times in one day. So these are all people seeing our website. So that's very exciting. As I think Holly may have touched on, 2017 was our eclipse viewing. So that's why back in the day that was so high. But as you can see, we are on an upward trend, hoping to keep it that way, reach more people, get more customers, get more people excited about nature and fossils. Another thing that I would like to share with the members and Penn Dixie fans with us is how we spent our advertising budget in 2022. So we advertise via television with WGRZ and WIVB, print. So we used Forge Ahead, which is a brochure rack. Some of you may be familiar with, we have little brochure rack cards. That's for people to take to learn a little bit more about Penn Dixie if they are out and about in public at maybe a throughway rest stop, trying to look for things to do in the area. And then I included Lamar billboards with print because I didn't know where else to put it. We did have a billboard this year. Online wise, we advertise through ancientodysseys.com, which promotes archaeological and paleontological things to do in the United States and beyond. We also advertise through Western New York Family Magazine, Boy Scout magazines, Western New York Healthy Living, Western New York Heritage Magazine, and Upstate Summer Magazine. Some of those both ran print and online, so more ways to view them. And then we also count advertising through sponsorship ads. So we did the Buffalo Association of Professional Geologists Scholarship Night, the Democratic Holiday Party, Southtown's Regional Chamber of Commerce events, including Student Star, State of the Town, their meat raffle, holiday bash. So, you know, we love supporting local, supporting our friends and other organizations. And then another thing that I want to share with you, as long as it loads, is our commercial. So in 2022, we filmed a new commercial, and this was written by our very own Dr. Phil Stokes, who also stars in the video as Tilly the Trilobite, who some of you may be familiar with already. There's also, we have some awesome staff, awesome friends of the organization in this commercial. The commercial was aired locally on WGRZ and WIVB. We plan to run it for years to come. And at the end of the video, it shows our current address. We will update that once our entrance is moved. So technology permitting, I will play this video for you.
We're coming to you live with some unbelievable footage from downtown Buffalo, where it appears a giant Devonian-age trilobite has emerged from Lake Erie, causing chaos and sending citizens into a panic.
I believe that's a trilobite. It went extinct 252 million years ago. I have no idea what that's doing here.
We've just learned that the trilobite appears to be headed towards Penn Dixie Fossil Park and Nature Reserve in Hamburg. At Penn Dixie, you can unearth fossils of trilobites and other ancient sea creatures that lived long before dinosaurs. Fossil hunting is fun for all ages. Learn more at penndixie.org.
So, you know, fun. That's our new commercial. And I'll close with my looking ahead. So one of the things that I'm looking forward to in 2023 regarding marketing is producing more video content to get it up on our website, social media, YouTube, just as a way to broaden the people we're connecting with a, you know, pretty popular form of media. So does anyone have any questions for me about marketing? If not, I will turn this back over to Dr. Phil Stokes.
All right, everyone. So, yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. Are there any sort of general questions or comments or concerns that you have about the organization, about anything? And now, if so, now is maybe a great opportunity to share them.
Do you have any idea how many both general visitors and members are from out of state? Is there any way of tracking that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, gosh, about 3 years ago, we took, is it 3 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago, we took a look at the zip codes from everyone who was purchasing tickets from our ticket platform. And we learned that about 1 in 10 of the purchasers was from outside of the Western New York region. And when I say purchaser, you know, it's usually, you know, one person buying for, you know, multiple individuals. And so sort of an informal metric, but that's what we have. And we'll probably do something a little bit more formal once we start applying for state funding for, you know, construction and everything for our next phase of our project, so we can get a firmer handle on who actually is coming to Penn Dixie.
Okay. I only found out about it because my daughter lives in the area and had heard of it. I live out of state.
Well, yeah, it's yeah, no, that's wonderful, Stan. You know, we have you know, I'd say a good following in Western New York, and we're also grateful for folks who come here from outside of the region.
Well, yeah, I guess, well, your marketing guy probably has a better handle on it with social media or whatever, but I think you probably got a chance for getting more people from out of state whenever they visit, can make that a stop on their visit.
Yeah, we do. We have, so we've increased our presence in the throughway rest stops. Basically having an investment in literature that appears in the throughway area rest stops. We've also had billboards along the throughway. Generally, marketing, I gotta say, is generally very expensive. For a single 30-second television ad, it can cost you between $500 and $1,000. Just to run that, depending on the time of the day and the station and everything. The billboard, it's similar. It was something I want to say is like a couple $1,000s for a month. And that is on a digital billboard in which they are rotating our ad along with several others. And so, we've been really strategic to date. And I think in the future, we're probably going to maybe be a little more aggressive towards marketing for out-of-state tourists.
I know this is also part of in-state tourism, but we are also a new member of the New York State Geological Trail, which we hope to get a lot of buzz from that. Although, Albany and other parts of upstate New York are still in the state, they could be upwards of 8 hours away. So we kind of treat those folks as out-of-state customers as well.
Hey, so I got a note here from Catherine in the chat. Shout out to Paul Moretti, who had a hand in nearly every aspect of what was reported. And I agree. So Paul is on the meeting tonight. Paul is one of our 16 part-time employees at Penn Dixie. Right, we have 4 full-time, 16 part-time this year. And so Paul, I got to say, was involved in construction. He was involved in field trips, in private tours, in general, day-to-day. And he's doing office work now that the site's closed. So we're certainly grateful for everything. And he even played some music at our fundraiser. Yeah, right. So thank you, Paul.
Yeah,
And I gotta say,
you guys are
really,
much too kind. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We have a really awesome staff. They don't know it yet, but we are going to be sending out some year-end bonuses for everyone. This is I'm very fortunate that every year I've been involved, we've been able to send a bonus out. Not to say people are going to be buying a new car, but luckily we've been able to increase the amounts, and so they'll be getting that. And Paul, you certainly do a lot for us, as do your colleagues. So can't thank you enough.
No, thanks very much, Phil. But I just wanted to say that, we have a really, really good staff of workers there, and everybody deserves an applause because they really, really work very hard there. They all do a great job, right from the top on down, right from all of you folks, plus everybody, right to whoever just comes in for a few hours out in the field. Everybody really, really pitches in really well.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's a credit to their commitment to the organization and to science education for the public. And I think people like just enjoy being out there digging for fossils and talking about Earth history. So yeah, thank you, and we're really excited. I gotta say, if anyone out there is interested, we are going to be adding some more staff next year. Once we have our budget, we'll have a better idea of how many positions and everything. But I know for sure that talking to Dr. Holly, we're going to need some more help to run field trips, to do tours, for everything, really. All right, are there any other comments or concerns out there in member land? All right, so the last thing, since we're in December, and this is Western New York, and there's a blizzard warning. I don't know if you've seen the forecast, but there's a quite large storm that's making its way here. And it's supposedly going to be of historic proportions. Whenever as a scientist, whenever I see that, I think about statistical outliers, and you never know what you're going to get. So please be safe out there. And my staff here in the office said, let's do a winter themed a song to sort of close out the meeting on a positive note, before our power goes out and we're in freezing temperatures. So I just picked up some lyrics this afternoon, and you're welcome to sing along or tune this thing off if you've had it, but you probably know the words. You gonna join, Holly? Come on over. Holly just left. All right, ready? Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, I will hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. Oh, the fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbye. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, I will hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. Oh, the fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbye. There we go. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. All right, everyone, thank you so much for supporting Penn Dixie, for being awesome, and for joining us tonight. Best wishes, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and go Bills.